10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, everyone, how are you doing? This is your host, Michael Voss, the Dragon of the Southern Tier, here with you at the No Soundbites Allowed podcast on the Exceptional Conservative Network. I hope everyone is doing well. I'm happy to be here with you. We're going to have a great show today. And there's just so much that's going on in the news. There's just so much that's happening right now. And I literally I was just on the phone following up some news and some events right up until literally 1 minute before the show started. So I'm still collecting my thoughts on all of that. And I want to try and make sure that I give you as much information as possible about what's happening, what's going on. There's a lot of things in the local community. There's obviously big news on the national level. I want to try and get all of that. We're working on several programs for Saturday, several very interesting leaders talking to us about aspects, things that are happening in Utica, things that are happening in Binghamton, and some of the things that are going to be happening in the nation. So I want to try and cover all of that. But first, let's start off with something very important. On Tuesday, a lot of people may not be aware of this. It's not been big national news. But one of the big things that's been going on is in Colorado on Tuesday, there was a school shooting. A lot of people may not be aware of that. I'm surprised because there hasn't been a lot of news on this. And we know how the news media loves to emphasize school shootings. That is, school shootings when they believe they can blame that on either the gun owners, President Trump, anything that they believe will advocate or push forward the anti-Second Amendment beliefs that the media has that matches many of the progressive ideals. And so you hear a lot about certain stories, but if you hear anything about a story where a good guy with a gun comes in and stops the event or prevents it, which is usually how these things end, then you don't hear anything. The story disappears. Well, kind of in that same vein, very much like the other most recent shooting, where we had a young man, Kyle, jump in, confront the school shooter, and was killed in that process. We had the same thing happen with a young man, Kendrick Castillo, an 18-year-old who was a member of the STEM school in Colorado. And I want to get the location right because it's I hate when I get it wrong. And I had it here in front of me. And I apologize because I'm looking at it in the news and I just don't remember the name of it, of the school. But Mr. Castillo, a student, when we say STEM, that means science, technology, engineering, and math. It's a school focused on that. Mr. Castillo was a hunting advocate. He was a fisherman. He liked his technology. And he confronted the shooter, and that allowed many of the other students to survive. He was a hero. While 8 other students were injured, the incident with 2 shooters involved ended in part because of his actions. And you haven't heard a lot of that in the news. And you may say to yourself, well, Mike, why is that? Why didn't we hear about this? This is a story we need to hear about. A hero, a child, a young man who gave everything to protect his friends, to protect his family, to go out there and do the right thing, and enabled so many lives to be saved. And this is something that needs to be spoken about. And the answer to that is, well, 2 parts. One, we know that the individuals involved, one of them is apparently a transgender student. Another one is also is an anti-Trump advocate. He's a very far left advocate. And this is from the early reports and early news reports that we've been seeing, this is the indication that both of these two shooters don't fit any part of the political message that is normally put out there against anyone with a firearm. And so the media doesn't want to talk about it. And they really should. Because it doesn't matter whether the individual is trans or a Republican or a progressive. It doesn't matter about that. What does matter, something that I've said often and I will say again, what does matter is, why did anyone get to the point in their life where the only answer is, I need to go and kill innocent people? That is a problem. That is the problem. If we can answer that problem, we can resolve the issue of school shootings. Without addressing that, we go nowhere. And the media not talking about a school shooting where a hero has given their life to save others and not addressing the core question, what made these individuals decide the only answer in their life was to kill others, then you're doing a disservice. You're not trying to find an answer to the problem. You're not trying to fix the problem. You're just politicking. And I have to say, I want to give great credit because the students, in response to the media doing that, their answer, and you can see this in the USA Today newspaper online, was published on today, the 9th, May 9th, and that was at 12:24 this afternoon. They came out with the article, Students Walk Out of Colorado School Shooting Vigil, saying their trauma was being politicized. And I'm not trying to politicize it. And they're right. It is being politicized. And I do have that article up right now. You can read about it. And one of the things I think that's very important that was said in that article, and I want to find it here. There it is. One of the students on social media, and I'm quoting the article here, the students drew plenty of support on social media. Quote, these politicians remind me of ambulance chasers, posted a Utah woman, ready to pounce on the next big shooting with their gun control agenda. A Colorado woman posted, quote, love this so much. I'm so proud of these students. After some rough political months here in Colorado, this was a welcomed sight and hope for our future. Now, just to be clear, so what happened? Well, there was a vigil, which was organized by the Brady campaign. Okay, and if you don't remember the Brady campaign, this is the Brady campaign to prevent gun violence. It was created after the attack against the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan. Brady was injured, had brain damage, and he created a gun violence organization, which is against firearms. And this organization, which is very hyper-partisan and very much against the Second Amendment, held a vigil inviting all the press to this to celebrate the life of Mr. Castillo and to emphasize the anti-gun rhetoric. And the students, several hundred students, as has been reported by many parts of the news media, balked at this. They were very upset about this. They walked out. In fact, there is another article I'll bring up, the Denver Post, in their article, which was done, and that was published May 8th, last night at 8:31. May 8th at 8:31, they published the article, STEM School Students Burst into Spontaneous Protest During Vigil at Highlands Ranch High School. That's it. It's the Highlands Ranch High School, where more than 1,000 people were packed in the St. Andrew's United Methodist Church. And during that event, several hundred students left. They walked out of the event, and they were all chanting the words mental health. Okay? They were attacking the news media. And I agree with them, because the mainstream media does not talk about the core issue. What is making these individuals, these deranged individuals, going out with the thought that the only thing that can answer their problems in life is to go and kill innocent people. We need to address that. I don't care what kind of legislation, I don't care where you stand on the Second Amendment. If you want to end school shootings, if you want to prevent them from happening in the future, any kind of shooting, you have to address the question, where is it coming from? What is making people say that the only answer is to kill innocent people? I don't understand the leap in logic that brings a person to that point where that is the only answer that they have in life. That is the only thing they can say in life is, I need to kill someone. If we can't answer that, we can't answer any of this. I don't care how many laws you put out there. We have over 22,000 gun laws. And these laws are obviously not addressing the question that brings these shooters out because they think the only answer is to kill innocent people, which is wrong, which is absolutely wrong. And there's your problem. Don't attack legal gun owners. Don't attack law-abiding citizens. Let's attack that question. There was an article by 538.com, which is generally left-leaning, but they did a really comprehensive review. And in their review, they were looking at what are the causes of mass shootings and can we resolve it? They found that there are about 38 different, and I'm not quoting the article here, but I believe it was about 38 different scenarios that have led to mass shootings. And I know I did an article on that, and I got to find it. But that's the thing. There is several issues. Some of them are because of mental health. Some of them are just because of evil people. Some of them are because of political agendas. There's a lot of reasons, money, a lot of reasons why mass shootings do happen, but we're not addressing any of those. Just by saying that there's a red flag law does not stop someone from going out and doing this. We've seen this in Islamberg. We've seen this in Long Island, in Suffolk County, where people are making bombs. Kids are making bombs. Okay? Just saying that you can't get this firearm. We've seen it in New York City. We've seen it in Las Vegas, where people are using cars to run over people as a weapon. We've seen it with World Trade Center, where people use box cutters, and that was religiously based. I just gave you 4 examples of where taking away or a couple of examples where taking away the firearms does not make anyone safer. It doesn't resolve the underlying problem. And in each of those cases, I just gave you examples that were completely different. And they have how these individuals came to that same conclusion is completely different. And that's the problem. And that's aggravating. Our news media needs to stop being political here and address the root cause. Let's deal with that. If we want to protect our kids, we have to answer this question. And if we don't answer this question, we're not doing our jobs. Now, as a segue, I also